Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 9. So it ain't no secret anymore, if that's the way you want to put it, in regards to what is coming our way in the series finale of The Flash, the final ever episode, episode 13 of Season 9, and maybe even in the episode or so leading into it, potentially. And of course, I'm referring to the return of a bunch, not just, one or two, but a bunch of fan favorite characters, specifically speedsters from previous seasons. Some old and some from more recent times. The returning characters, of course, being that of Reverse Flash from, I guess, originally Season 1, though we've seen him pop up multiple times since that point, but we'll just say Season 1 for the sake of this. Zoom from Season 2. Savitar or Savitar from Season 3, depending on how you say it, and of course Godspeed from Season 7, with a new, suit in the mix. Not really a new face, this being in the form of Cobalt Blue. Now it's all, well and good, getting excited and hyped for what is coming our way in this series finale, which I definitely am, cannot wait for it. But there is a big thing that many are wondering, and that is, how the hell are these characters coming back? Most of them are dead, what the hell? And, well, that's what we're going to be talking about in this video, like how the hell this is all happening. Now, the first thing I do want to mention, which is just a brief thing, which I probably wouldn't have mentioned in any other videos, I thought, why not mention it here? But I was actually told by someone that's given me sort of, decent info in the past, that specifically Zoom was brought back, and Cobalt Blue was brought into the show for this final, well, maybe not into the show specifically for the final season, but brought eventually into the show because of fan demand over the years. And specifically with Zoom, it was like really fan demand. And with Cobalt Blue, it was that constant talk and, theorizing about what happened with Eddie or what Rick Cosnet was going to do again on the show since Season 2. And every single time he was coming back, everyone thought, oh, is this mean Cobalt Blue? And eventually it happened. So that fan demand sort of got to the writers and everything eventually by the sounds of it. So I guess it eventually works sometimes. But yeah, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your thoughts on these different options and theories as to what's happening in the comment section down below. If you agree with them or, have a bit of a different thought on maybe how one of them could work, let me know in the comments. And if you have like a completely different theory or anything like that, let me know down there as well. Now, the first thing that has to be brought up is the apparent source of why these characters are randomly back in the present day, when in most of the cases here in regards to these characters, they shouldn't be, and that is Cobalt Blue. Now, we don't know exactly how Cobalt Blue is going to be adapted from the comics and like how well it's going to be translated and exactly how, certain powers and abilities will transfer over, or if new ones will be brought into the show to just suit the story and I guess what they want to do with the character. That is for us to wait and find out when, the character starts playing out, by the looks of it, around episode 10. But in the comics, there is nothing that really leads specifically or directly into time travel in regards to the crystal or gem that we saw at the end of last season that we know Cobalt Blue will be in possession of in this season because of his suit, and you can see it like in the chest area, it's implanted right there in the middle. However, one thing that the gem can do is steal powers, but I guess more specifically in regards to this, speed, which the show could translate to being able to time travel with said speed powers and I guess access to the Speed Force if that's how they want to do it. However, it's very important to remember that that has not been confirmed or anything by something that was on the show. That is just theorizing that if he takes the speed, then maybe he can time travel as well. But that jumps into the first option, time travel. Now, we know there is going to be time travel in this arc, and it seems from the get-go, from the first episode, we're assuming this storyline starts in episode 10, and in episode 10 from set photos, we know we are traveling back to the year 2000, not just through flashbacks or something like that. We are going to see both Barry and, I guess, whoever Rick Cosnet is playing in the year 2000. I was going to say, isn't that a Jonas Brothers song? But I think that's the 3000. Anyway, don't know why I don't Jonas Brothers stuff. I don't even listen to them. I might expose myself. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to like the year 2000, which is a big year because the year 2000, and we also know it looks to be like a specific date, but the year 2000 is the year that Barry's mum was killed by Reverse Flash. And it looks like we're traveling back to the day of the night that happened. So I have no idea if this is like torture from Rick Cosnet's character or Cobalt Blue in regards to, torturing Barry, or this is just a coincidence, and this maybe lines up with certain things in this scenario, and maybe this is where Reverse Flash is picked from, or whatever it might be. But we're also going to the future. We don't know what the context of the future stuff is. That's really minimal. It's just the stuff that going to the past, we have like a pinpoint as to exactly when that's happening. But because of these examples, it would be pretty easy for Cobalt Blue to go back to this year, that year, and this year, where, a bunch of these different villains were associated from and get them from there. The issue with that is damaging the timeline. That's the biggest issue. And that sort of leads into the next thing, which is picking them out from the timeline. So with that first one with time travel, those speedsters, because it could easily just be like, oh, okay, I understand your plan, Cobalt Blue. I'll time travel to that date you've told me to time travel to. That could be the time travel option there. But with being picked out from the timeline, I think the only way that works is if maybe Cobalt Blue picks them out from the timeline the moments before they die or are defeated. So the only one in this bunch who like doesn't really properly die is Godspeed. He gets stabbed and like shish kebabbed by Reverse Flash with like those weird lightning swords or whatever they were, but he doesn't die. That's said in that finale in season 7 that he's just in Iron Heights, and I think he may have had his speed taken off him, so he was just random August Hart from the future in the present day. That was that whole thing there. So maybe he is, picked from that point in season 7 before he dies, or before he's defeated. And with like Reverse Flash, Zoom, and Savitar, they're picked from the past as well before they die. And maybe that's a way where it doesn't mess up the timeline because they were meant to be gone from the timeline at that point anyway because they were meant to die. So that's a way in which it probably could work, and it wouldn't surprise me too much if that's the one they go for, or like a rough thing around that. Maybe not exactly, say, being picked out from the timeline, but something very, very similar to that. Another option, which a lot of people have said, is Multiverse. Now, Multiverse would be, Multiverse, when I say, would be very, very cool, but we're led to believe, like in this Earth Prime, or post-crisis timeline, might I say, that Zoom isn't even from the Multiverse. So I'm very curious to see whether that's touched upon or anything like that. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but the way it was sort of said in like the post-crisis, like things where it's been referenced, it sounds like he wasn't from another Earth, but that's all confusing. But I don't know if they'd bother with doing like a multiverse Reverse Flash, a multiverse Godspeed, a multiverse Savitar, a multiverse Zoom. I don't know if they would go down that route. It seems a bit too convoluted, especially if this isn't meant to be this massive like explanation thing. It's just that these characters come back and he says quickly, oh yeah, I went through the timeline. And instead of going, oh, I went through the multiverse and found the specific versions that matched and looked exactly like the ones that you versed, so it's a bit more traumatic. So I don't think Multiverse is going to be an option, but then again, you never know. And the last one is actually a fairly interesting one, and I don't know if this would happen, but it could make sense. And that's rebirth, or being like reborn or revived through the crystal. Now, the crystal or gem has healing abilities in the comics. Now, it's pretty basic ones. It's like similar to like the Flash's inner healing ability where, if he gets a cut, he'll heal faster than the normal human, or if he breaks a bone, he'll heal like, X amount of times faster. It's that type of healing ability. But they could do it in the show where maybe if it's combined with that of a speedster's natural healing abilities, like all these speedsters would, like Reverse Flash, Zoom, Savitar, they're all speedsters. They have that natural healing ability as well. So if it's matched up with that gem, maybe it could allow that, where they could be revived in some way, shape, or form. And it wouldn't impact the timeline either because they're dead. They're dead anyway, and they're being brought to this specific moment, and who knows, there might be unlimited things where Cobalt Blue could just kill them anyway, or if he like disconnects like connection to the gem, they would just die anyway. But the big issue here is that with Zoom, he is the Black Flash at this point. He's still Black Flash. That is still the case in the post-crisis timeline. And with Reverse Flash, he imploded like at the end of last season, so there's no body, and even if we go back to season 1, he like just disappeared, so there's no body there. And then if we look at Savitar Barry, I think he's the only one who could legitimately be revived, because he'd be the only one who, I guess, potentially can have a body, because he wasn't like... Well, did he fade away? I think he might have faded away, actually, didn't he, at the end of season 3 after being shot by Iris. But he at least wasn't imploded or, turned into some like zombified creature. But I think his body might have disappeared at the end of season 3 now that I remember as well. So there's no bodies for this to even work. And Godspeed isn't dead. So like Godspeed's just like a person who's got to either free from his jail cell or give speed back to. So I think the revival thing is a bit weird, unless once again it's sort of like going back and manipulating the timeline specifically to the point where they are killed or defeated and using the gem to heal them. It's a bit, wishy-washy and a bit tricky there. So I don't even know if rebirth would make sense, even though the crystal could potentially do that. Just like there's no bodies to actually perform the ritual to revive them from. Now, of course, none of these might be the option. They could, and it wouldn't surprise me too much if it's just a basic thing. They show up, there's no explanation at all, but we know that there's been multiple days of filming. So this scene where they all show up isn't the only scene. Red Teddy Sears was filming for about like 4 days before they did this stuff in this big open set thing. So there's been a lot of different things with these characters, or at least specifically Zoom. But I think if I had to pick one out, I think Cobalt Blue, because we know that he can time travel by the looks of it, going through and picking out each of the villains from the timeline, whether it's before they died or just from a random point when they existed, is probably the one that makes the most sense. Just because it does. And also even the time travel thing, like there had to be like some sort of thing where they all meet up at the specific right times. There's no speeds that has to wait there like 5 days or something like that awkwardly, or even like 8 hours. It's like, oh, when these other speeds is going to get here? Like I think Cobalt Blue picking them and bringing that back to where he wants them to be makes a lot of sense. But as I said, they could just show up with no explanation, and that could be the way they want to do things. And you know what? I'd live with it, because I think getting this scene with all these guys there, all these speedsters there, is going to be really, really cool. So I think I could live with it. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on all the stuff in this video, any theories you have and everything like that. Do you think it's just going to be them showing up and that's how they do it? That seems like something that they might do and probably will do, but let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.